One morning, as Cherish woke up from sleep, still feeling like someone made love to her in the dream, she looked at her stomach and was shocked. Her stomach was so big, she looked like she is 6 months pregnant and she was in serious pains. Once upon a time in a city in Africa, there lived a young, very beautiful girl named Cherish. Cherish was in her final year in the university. Her parents stayed in the village, so she was alone in the big city. She lived a lavish lifestyle, getting all she needs from men due to her beauty. Most of her bills were paid by rich men who take her out for dates, and they pay her well. Due to her popularity in school, her friends and schoolmates were beginning to complain about her overbearing lifestyle. As Cherish got into her final year in school, she decided to move out of school building and rent a house outside school to have her freedom and the ability to live her life the way she likes without anybody's judgment. She moved into a rich neighborhood. 2 days after she moved, she decided to take a walk to look around the beautiful area and get to know the place well. One evening, as she was walking down the street, looking around the area, a young handsome man was driving past and stopped next to her. He introduced himself as Ojo and invited her for a drink. Cherish found him interesting and agreed to meet with him the next day. The next evening, Cherish visited Ojo, who lives alone in a beautiful apartment. Before you know it, they both became an item. Things were going well. They seemed to really be in love. Ojo started taking Cherish to date nights and events. One evening, Ojo invited Cherish to their company dinner. He wanted to show off his beautiful newly found love to his colleague. As Cherish walked into the party with Ojo, she stole the show. All eyes were on her, as people admired her beauty. Ojo counted himself a lucky man, planning that once Cherish was done with school, he would propose to her. 1 month after the party at Ojo's workplace, Cherish started changing. Sometimes she would not pick Ojo's calls. Whenever she comes to see him, she will always be on her phone. Sometimes they will not see each other for days. At first, Ojo thought maybe her exams were hectic, so she needed some space, but the same thing continued after her exams. He called Cherish several times to try and talk with her to find out if everything was okay, but each time he brings up her new behavior and changes, Cherish will say she has a lot on her mind. This happened for some time till one evening. Ojo was about leaving work. He called Cherish to know if they can go out for dinner, but she did not pick her calls. He was worried. He went straight to check her at her house, but she was not there. As he sat in the car, thinking what to do, his colleague, James, called him to remind him about the project they needed to submit the next day, and told him he forgot it on his table. He begged him to go and pick up the file from his table and send him a screenshot of page 27. Ojo, who lived not far from his workplace, decided to go and get the files since his plans of taking Cherish out was not going to happen. As he got to the office and took the file, he noticed his boss, Mr. Victor's office light was still on. He thought maybe Mr. Victor forget to switch off the light and decided to go switch it off. As he got close to the door, he heard sounds. As he peeped into the office, he was shocked and couldn't believe his eyes. His girlfriend Cherish and his boss, Mr. Victor, were in Mr. Victor's office, making out. Ojo quietly walked away. He couldn't believe what he saw. As he drove home that night, it all made sense to him, since after that party, Cherish changed and started misbehaving. Ojo, who is a personal assistant to Mr. Victor, knew that whatever actions he takes, he will lose his job. Tears came down his eyes as he drove home that night. He said to himself, "Just when I thought I had found a wife." As he got home, he sat quietly on his sofa thinking what to do. After a while, he decided not to contact Cherish ever again. 3 days later, Cherish called Ojo and told him she saw his missed call, that she is coming over to see him. As she got to his house, Ojo called her and sat her down and said to her, "Cherish, we have had a great time together, but I see I am not enough for you, so this relationship is over." Cherish looked surprised. She asked, "What did I do?" Ojo said to her, "Please leave my house." He went into his bedroom and locked himself in his room. That was how Cherish left and never looked back. Few months later, it became public news that Cherish is now dating Mr. Victor, and they are planning to get married. This brought tension between Mr. Victor and Ojo, but Ojo just decided not to entertain it and focus on his work. One day, Cherish came to the office to see Mr. Victor. As she saw Ojo, she spoke rudely to him, calling him a loser that will never succeed in life, but Ojo did not entertain her. The workplace was becoming too hostile and the working relationship between Mr. Victor and Ojo grew worse, but Ojo was determined to keep working because he has a sick mother and 2 younger ones in the village that he takes care of. 3 months later, Cherish and Mr. Victor got married. They invited all the workers including Ojo, but Ojo decided to go to the village that day to visit his mother and younger ones. After his visit, as he was planning to leave the village and return to the city, his mother called him into her bedroom and told him to sit down. She said to him, "I see you are not happy. You are very bitter inside. What is going on? Does it have anything to do with the new girl you told me you wanted to marry?" Tears came down from Ojo's eyes as he sat quietly and explained the whole thing to his mother. His mother told him, "Don't worry, your own wife will come." Then she said, "Don't fight them, keep at your work, don't do anything that will provoke them, don't forget who you are, and remember, you are all we have, and your younger ones are looking up to you." Ojo wiped his tears, put himself together and returned back to the city. As Mr. Victor returned from honeymoon, he called Ojo into his office and gave him some money that he should go and deposit the money at the bank, under the company bank account. As Ojo got to the bank, as he gave them the money to deposit, he was taken to a private room and was asked to wait. After some time, the police came and arrested him. They claimed the money he brought to the bank was counterfeit. Ojo was surprised. He said his manager gave him the money to deposit. The police called his manager, Mr. Victor. Mr. Victor claimed he doesn't know what Ojo was talking about, that Ojo did not show up for work that day. Ojo was speechless. That was when it dawned on him that his manager, Mr. Victor, had set him up. He called his mother from the police station, but there was nothing his mother could do. She promised to go and beg Mr. Victor to let him go. The next day, Ojo appeared in court and found his mother sitting there crying. The court found him guilty and he was sentenced to 1 year and 6 months in prison. It was like Ojo's life has come to an end. As they took him away, his mother stood there crying. Ojo cursed the day he met Cherish. 2 days later, Cherish and Victor were in the sitting room when they heard a knock at the door. As she opened, it was Ojo's mother. She went on her knees and begged Victor and Cherish to please release his son Ojo, that they know he is innocent. But they called her names and kicked her out of their house. 1 year passed. Cherish and her husband were having issues in their marriage because Cherish has not been able to fall pregnant. Victor, Cherish's husband, started taking outside jobs just to stay away from home, traveling from province to seal business deals for the company. Sometimes he would spend a month on his trips. One day, Victor was in one of his trips. He received a call from an old friend. He was told that Ojo has just been released, that he saw him in the neighborhood. Victor was shocked. When the call ended, he said to himself, "But he was supposed to be locked up for 1 year and 6 months, it's just been 1 year." Then he said in fear, "My wife might be in danger, Ojo might want to get revenge." He quickly took his phone and made another call. 2 days later, Cherish, who has not seen her husband for 1 week, started having nightmares. She will sleep at night and feel someone making love to her. When she wakes up in the morning, she will really feel someone made love to her. This happened for some time, but she did not call her husband on the phone and tell him, because she didn't want him to be worried. One morning, as Cherish woke up from sleep, still feeling like someone made love to her in the dream, she looked at her stomach and was shocked. Her stomach was so big, she looked like she is 6 months pregnant and she was in serious pains. She didn't know what was happening to her. She rushed to the hospital. After they did all the tests and a scan, she was told that she is not pregnant, that they can't find anything inside her stomach. She was confused and didn't know what to do. The doctor gave her some painkillers for her pains and said she should come back in 2 days for them to do another test. As she was about leaving the hospital, a nurse called her aside and told her, "My sister, you need to go and seek a spiritual help. This thing is spiritual." She gave her a number of a spiritual man. Cherish thanked her and went straight to the spiritualist. As she got there, the old man said, "My name is Baba Ojo." He looked at her and shook his head in disgust. Then he said, "Finally your wickedness has caught up with you." Cherish was confused. She said to him, "Baba, I don't understand. What did I do wrong?" Baba said, "Where is your ex-boyfriend?" Cherish could not reply. Baba Ojo said to her, "You destroyed a promising young man's life, because you wanted a man with more money, so why didn't you just let him go? You told your husband to fire him. When the plans to fire him failed, you came up with the idea to set him up and send him to jail. Now it's time for you to reap what you have sown." Cherish started crying. She said, "I didn't mean to harm him, but in my life, no man ever breaks up with me. He was the first man that ended a relationship with me. I am always the one that breaks up with men, not the other way around. So I was not happy with him. I didn't know how to handle him, ending things with me." Baba Ojo said, "Do you know why he ended things with you?" She said no. Baba Ojo said, "He caught you sleeping with his boss in the office." Cherish was shocked. She said, "I didn't know. I am so sorry. What can I do to fix this?" "He is still in prison. It's been over a year now. I have to call my husband so we can find a way to release him." Baba Ojo said, "He has been released." Cherish was surprised. So he came out of prison and the first thing he did is to go and do some kind of rituals on me. Her voice raged in anger. Baba Ojo looked at Cherish and shook his head to show he was displeased with her. Then he said in a calm voice, "That young man did everything with an open heart for you. He loved you. He spoke well about you. He wanted to marry you. Even when he found out that you were cheating on him with his boss, he gently let you go. He even decided to play his part and concentrate in his job. But you and your husband will not let him be. You have been bitter with him for breaking up with you. You made sure he goes to jail for something he didn't do. And now you feel you still have right to talk." Cherish was quiet. "I am sorry," she said in a low voice. "It's just that I am in so much pain, and I can't stand to believe that Ojo would do such a thing to me. I will have to look for him and find a way to apologize." Baba Ojo said, "It is too late for that now." Cherish looked at him in confusion. She said, "What do you mean it is too late?" Baba Ojo said, "Ojo is dead." Cherish was shocked. What happened to him? How did he die? Her voice was shaking as she spoke, almost in tears. Baba Ojo said, "You and your husband killed him." Cherish shouted, "No. We did not kill him, we only sent him to jail to punish him for not showing up at our wedding." Baba Ojo replied, "Your husband found out that Ojo was released early and he thought he would come after you. He sent boys to beat him up and to threaten him not to come anywhere close to you, but the boys mistakenly hit him with a big stone on the head and he bled to death. So Ojo is dead. What you are carrying in your womb is his revenge on you. As he died, he came to make love to you spiritually, and that is the result of your big stomach. His spirit is angry and his aim is to make sure your stomach gets so big that it explodes." Cherish fell on her knees and started crying. She said, "Sir, what can we do? I don't want to die." Baba Ojo said, "I am sorry, I cannot help you. That young man did you no wrong, and you killed him. I cannot help you. Please leave my shrine." Cherish begged, but Baba Ojo refused to answer him. He said to her, "Go and look for his mother and beg her for forgiveness. That is the only hope you have now." As she left the shrine, on her way home, she called her husband. He picked the call and was shouting. He said he is in pains. His manhood started swallowing up and he is by the doctors, but they said nothing is wrong with him. Cherish told him to start coming home, that she knows the source of the problem. As the call ended, she cried all the way till she got home. The next day, her husband, Victor, came home very early in the morning, still in pains. She explained to him what was going on. She blamed him for killing Ojo. Victor said, "I thought I was protecting you. I never told them to kill him. It was a mistake. We need to go see a pastor. I am not going to any village to beg anyone," Victor shouted. As they got into the car to drive out, Ojo appeared in front of the car, standing there crying. They both saw him and shouted. Victor died instantly, then Ojo disappeared. Cherish left her husband, Victor's dead body, in the car and called a taxi. She looked for Ojo's mother's address and told the taxi to take her straight to his village. It was a long drive. As she got there, she paid the taxi double and told him to wait for her. It was already getting dark. As she saw Ojo's mother, she fell on her knees and was crying, begging her to forgive her for the wrong she did to her son. After a long time of pleading on her knees, Ojo's mother cried in pains and told her she has forgiven her. Cherish handed over the document to one of their mansions and some of their properties to Ojo's mother, and she transferred 15 million to her account before leaving the village. As she got into the taxi heading back to the city, she was still in pains. She asked the taxi to take her to any pastor in the city. It was a very long drive. As the taxi arrived in front of a church that night, the driver opened Cherish's door to let her out, saying, "Madam, we are here at the church." Cherish had died. The driver was shocked to find out that she was no longer breathing. He took her straight to the hospital and left her body there. Story ends. Moral of this story: any actions driven by selfishness, greed, and bitterness can lead to devastating consequences. And also, any harm you inflict on others, out of malice or spite, will often come back to haunt you. I remain Uncle Sam. Stay safe.